All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Dash. I want to say and give double honors to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. Salutations to my fellow Akim, the hopeful elect. Shalom to the elect. Hey, I'm the brother Gabar Yahweh from GMS Hawaii. Coming to you with another lesson. This lesson was inspired by a show I was currently watching. It is called Veep. VEEP. And it's a comedy, a satirical comedy about American politics, and through the lens of a vice president. And this show, like most things in what you see in on film and media, it mirrors what's happening today. A lot of times these elite they put things in these movies, these shows, and to exemplify things that are about to happen or that are happening or that already happened. That's the way that they talk to one another, because they got a I think it's called a method of revelation. Basically, they got to reveal what they're doing before they do it. They just can't just go do what they want to do, like and not say it, because they're priests on the left hand side. And so anyway, it inspired me to look at similarities between Rome, ancient Egypt, and Sodom and Gomorrah as it pertains to America. Because as we know in the scriptures, America is Babylon the Great, right? The city of great confusion, right? Matter of fact, it's also called the daughter of Babylon, all right? This is the book of Lamentation 4 and 21, right? It says, rejoice and be, Salakia. I think this is it. Oh, I'll read it. This is not it, but I'll read this. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwelleth in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. And that's what these Edomites are going through right now. Starting from on high. They're being shown naked, meaning a lot of their sins are being shown via the apostles and the bishop elders and the brothers on down out here prophesying the prophets of the Lord, prophesying and testifying against his man. All right. And his drunkenness is thou shalt be drunk and shalt make thyself naked. And when you drunk, you don't have any control over your faculties. You're all over the place. And that's what America is. Okay. This is verse 22. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. Right. So this is the children of Israel. This is our last captivity that we ever had to go through. All right. It's been accomplished. Right. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. And that's what the Lord is about to do. He's about to visit Edom, mainly by starting off with destroying his bastion of freedom, his big experiment, his great experiment, which is America. This is the book of Psalms 137 and 8. Oh, daughter of Babylon, right? And America is the daughter of Babylon, right? Or as it also is known in Revelation 18 as Babylon the Great. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. And the one that's going to reward this place is Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. And he's going to destroy this place and the people in it, as well as the Edomites, right? They're going down. Okay, I'm just going to read this in the NLT. It says, "O Babylon, you will be destroyed." And this is not talking about ancient Babylon, which is in Iraq today, right? You will be destroyed. Happy is the one who pays you back for what you have done to us, right? And these Edomites have done what they've done to us via via destruction, slavery, right? Destroyed us. And then they didn't just do this here in America. They did it during the time of Rome. They did it during the Greece, and during the time of the Grecians. All right. And these other nations had a part in it too. The Neo-Syrian, Syrian or the Neo-Babylonian Empire, and Persia, which is modern day Persian and the Mede, which is modern day Iran today. Like all of these heathens had an opportunity to rule, and as they ruled, they destroyed us. And the last ones to rule over us is the Edomites. And they can't say that the Lord is there's a word I wanted to use. Is not, well, one, they can't say that the Lord is not merciful because he gave them an opportunity to rule. Not one, not two, but they had three. Right? These other nations, they didn't have all those rulerships. You Edomites went from the Grecians to the Romans to the modern day revived Roman Empire, which they say is the European Union. Well, it's a part of that because America is the military backing of that. Then you had an economic leg, which is in London. Then you have their religious leg, which is in Rome, which comes out of Rome. But their whole system is a revised Roman system. That's why you had something called the Treaty. I want to say the Treaty of Rome, but let me see. You had the Treaty of Rome. The Treaty of Rome is also known as this is it. The Treaty of Rome, also known as the treaty establishing the European Economic Community, which today is called the EU, European Economic Union, or the European Union, right? European Economic Community, or the EEC, was signed March 25th, 1957 by 6 member states: Belgium, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, and these are all Edomites. You see it right here on the table. It says, and it came in effect in January 1st, 1958, and is considered the founding act of the European Community. The treaty goals included transforming trade and production conditions, closer political unification of Europe, economic growth through trade, free competition between companies, and abolishing quotas and custom duties. Right, and that's where they came up with that the EU. So let me go back to this. Where's that picture at? Where's that picture at? Right here. Right. So it's not just the European Union, but it's all the European powers, and that includes America, because America is riding on the beast. Right. She really controls. She's controlling the system via her riding upon it. All right. And she's the great whore. Right. That is spoken about in the scriptures. But what I wanted to show is that Rome, through their governmental system, Egypt through different things that are similar to what's happening in America, and even Sodom and Gomorrah, these things are here today in Babylon the Great, right? Because that's what I was trying to originally speak about. Daughter of Babylon, she's called the daughter of Babylon, as well as she's called Babylon the Great. Okay, this is Revelation 8:1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried with a mighty strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. It has become the habitation of devils, the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And that's what America is ultimately going to be, right? This didn't happen to ancient Babylon. This is talking about America today. It's called Babylon the Great because it's the place of great confusion. The word Babylon goes to the Hebrew word Babal, which means confusion. All right, Babylon. All right, then you got Babylon the Great. Megas. This is Babylon Ho Megas, right? In the Greek. So Babylon, look, there it is right here. Confusion, right? A very large and famous city, the residence of the Babylonian kings, which we were in captivity in Babylon via Nebuchadnezzar, right? And then the Persian Mede took him the Persians and the Mede took him down, and then Alexander the Great took them down. It says a very large and famous city, the residence of Babylonian kings, situated on both banks of the Euphrates. Cyrus had formerly captured it, but Darius Hystaspes threw down its gates and walls. Xerxes destroyed the temple of Belus. At length, the city was reduced to almost solitude, the population having been drawn off by the neighboring Seleucia, built on the Tigris by Seleucus Nicanor, right? But the point of that is this is allegorically of Rome as the most corrupt seat of idolatry and an enemy of Christianity, which Christianity, as you know it today, stems from Rome, the Roman Catholic Church. So it's not talking about an allegory for Rome. It's an allegory. It's an allegory for America. All right, that's what it truly is. All right, and the way America is ran and operated is right on the same lines as ancient Rome. That's why in Daniel 7:19 it says this. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all others, exceedingly dreadful. And why was the fourth beast different from all the others, or diverse from all the others? Because um, where are we at? Yeah, right, right. Because all these had kings: ancient Babylonian Empire, the Persian and Median Empire, ancient Greece. Rome, they didn't have kings; they had dictators and they had senators, or they had a senate. Right? It was known as a republic, so it was different. But the same thing that how Rome was set up is the same way America is set up. You know, America is set up like the ancient Roman Empire. Okay, America is set up on the lines of that. The whole system, the whole beast system is. That's why you can go to Europe and there's democracy. You come to America and there's democracy. You go to South America, they pushing democracy, or they have established democracies, right? That's part of their Edomite political power. All right, it's the same thing they did in ancient Rome. They stretched their kingdom out, their rulership out. It's not being called ancient Rome, but it's the same thing. It's the revived Roman Empire. This is what we're in. It ain't just ancient. It ain't just that small. What was it, like 3 square miles of Rome? Nah, it ain't that. It's this whole system, and we're going. I would hope to illustrate um this via some of the information that I found on this place. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. The thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Right. So the way that they're governing this place, and we're talking about governance of ancient Rome as well as America, it's the same shit. It's the same thing. We can look at architecture in America. We can look at um, street layouts or street grid layouts. We can look at a lot of things, but we're talking about, I'm focusing on the government portion because, again, this show that I was watching, Veep, it's on an app called Max, but I'm sure you brothers can find it anywhere on the internet to watch it. But it just shows you how um, inept and how wicked the system is. Like these people don't um, take the genuine populist interest at hand. They don't care about that, right? It was always about this hand wash the other, people getting over on each other. It's basically corrupt. It shows you how corrupt the system is, just like it is today. And then they would pluck at the heartstrings of the people to get them associated with whatever political party you had. Like in America, you have political parties, political parties in America versus ancient Rome. I know I spoke all that's wrong, so let's look at it. You had, like in America, you got, right, I'll read this. It says, did ancient Rome have political parties like Republicans and Democrats? If not, why is it called the Roman Republic instead of something else? And it says there were no official parties like we have them in our modern democracies, but that didn't keep informal groups and factions from forming the republic, right? In the Republican Senate during the tumultuous and transformative period near the end of the republic was divided into two major factions: the Optimates and the Populares. The Optimates were somewhat the conservatives of their time. They were they were in love with the republic and the traditions of Rome. They advocated democracy, just like they do today. The Republicans and the Democrats do the same thing today, but only their very restrictive and hierarchical democracy in which the noble and wealthy dominated. And it's no different than today. The average man is not in high level politics because these people are high level witches and warlocks, right? So they belong to particular witch covens. You know what I'm saying? But these people are noble people. They ain't. They're the noble and the wealthy. You look at the senators of today. All of them are wealthy. They're not poor. They're not broke. They're wealthy. So it says, in which the noble and wealthy dominated. All of them, all of them were nobles or wealthy themselves, as all senators were at the time, just like today. Rome during the Republic had a rigid class system that the Optimates wanted to preserve. Politicians like the Optimates had dominated in Rome for centuries. But as I said, this was a hugely important period in the history of Rome. The massive influx of slaves and migration of rural Romans to major city centers, including the city of Rome, meant that a class of unemployed city dwellers had formed. The lower class had always been abused by the nobles and the wealthy and had no opportunity for social mobility. They were championed to some degree in the Senate by the populares. Scholars differ whether the politicians actually wanted to sincerely aid the working poor of Rome, who at this time lived in dilapidated slums, and whether they were simply populists utilizing the poor as a working bloc for the elected. Right. You also had the patrician. I thought they were going to mention this. So you had the patricians, the patricians and plebeians. I know I spoke these wrong. Patricians and plebeians. This is in ancient Rome. The plebeians were the lower class, just like the populares, right? The lower class, and the patricians were the upper class, just like the optimists. The distinction between the two groups was based on birth, and people were completely separated. For example, plebeians could only marry people from their social class, right? And it says plebeians were the commoners of Rome and included merchants, farmers, craft workers. Many plebeians lived in the apartments above or behind their shops and rented out upper stories. The patricians were wealthy landowners, and similar to the aristocrats or nobles, they had the majority of power in Rome, including control of the government. And it's the same thing you had today with the Democrats and the Republicans, right? A lot of these people are wealthy landowners, people that own major businesses, stocks, were part of that. They're part of the noble houses. The average Joe, like what you and I would be considered in this world as an average Joe, like just a Joe, we can't make it up there, right? And you only deal with people in your class. You ain't going to deal with nobody higher than you. It's not going to happen that way. you know. So again, these are some similarities, right? But and it's the same thing that happened in ancient Rome is what's happening today. It was a bunch of lies and robbery being fomented and pushed. Right, that's being exalted. The same thing that happened here. You think these politics? Just tonight they had the beginning of the Democratic convention, and they had Joe Biden yelling on the microphone. For the first time, this dude seemed somewhat coherent. And showing you that he was replaced on purpose. He was replaced on purpose, right? To make this his vice president seem to be adept when she's really inept, right? So it says, woe to the bloody, this is Nahum 3:1. Woe to the bloody city, it is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not. And that's what America is. It's a bloody city. It was established, it's a great city, Babylon, the great. This place was established on blood, and it's full of lies and robbery. Like I was talking to Elder Rakaya Kum from UK earlier today, and we were speaking about this and saying how like everything we learned in this world since the day we were born, we were fed nothing but lies. And it wasn't until we came into the truth of Yahweh Shem Shai, the knowledge and truth and understanding of Yahweh Shem Shai, that we actually found our first and ultimate taste of truth. Because in the world was nothing but lies. Everything that you've been told, the things you've been told to like, the things you've been told to hate, the things that you've been told that are real and fake. These things are all lies, and they rob you, right? That's how America was established, right? This is the book of I'm sorry, let me go to Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2:12. It says, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and established the city by iniquity. That's right. And that's how America was built, I was watching that show Veep, and then there was a scene where she was speaking to the former prime minister of Helsinki. I think it was Helsinki or something like that, and some Icelandic country. And a woman said that basically, I think it was a woman that said it. Somebody said in the show how basically they took America and they what do you call it? It's an occupation. Like America was trying to. I think it was they were talking to the so-called Israeli prime minister in the show, and he said, and she mentioned something about the occupation over there in Israel, and then he mentioned the occupation here in America, because these so-called presidents, these politicians, they're yelling and screaming like America was founded on them, like this country that they call America at the America Vespucci was founded for them, like there was not a country here before, like there were no people here before. Let them tell it. But and then even in the show, they got GAD, so-called Native Americans, in an uproar because some pictures were taken off the wall that was so-called Native American. And then I'm looking at GAD in the show, and it's like a little meeting of them, and they're talking to the so-called president of the United States, and in the show, Shalaki, in the show, it was like, I'm like, wait a minute, they're the ones that are supposed to be running policy. This is their country, but they've been reduced. Our people have been reduced to guests in their own country, right? Pushed in the corners, right? Because they established this city on blood. You can look at the bloody history of America, from the conquering of America from the east to the west, to the enslavement of the Israelites coming from Europe and Africa, right? That's how this place was established. So the scripture says, woe, meaning destruction, to him that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity. Behold, is it not of the Lord Yahweh Bashan of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity? Let me see what this says. Too, right? It says, has not the Lord of heavens of armies promised that the wealth of all of nations will turn to ashes? They work so hard, but all in vain. Exactly. Like you got these people jockeying for leadership in America and doing all of this wickedness to earn wealth and become wealthy and rich and influential in this country, but it's all for nothing, because the Lord's going to destroy this place, right? The Lord's going to destroy this place, right? He's going to completely eviscerate this place, right? And don't shoot the messenger. We just relaying the message from the Lord. Okay. So then I looked up this. Was ancient Rome as corrupt as modern America? Because America is extremely corrupt. How did it avoid collapse despite corruption? So it says ancient Rome was founded as a republic, just like America was so-called founded as a republic. But now we know that this place is nothing more than a corporation, and it's always been that way, right? Ancient Rome was founded as a republic, and its political system should be considered as perfect. No one has absolute power, just like today, just like today's USA. Why couldn't it finally avoid the fate of collapse? Well, because the Lord wanted it to be destroyed. The Lord allowed these kingdoms to rise so that ultimately they could fall. Here, because the reason these nations were in power, most of it was they enslaved the children of Israel for our wickedness and our iniquity. The Lord used these different nations to levy out the punishment that He foretold to us that was going to happen via our prophets, right? From the Babylonians, we were in captivity. We made this uh, empire extremely great, you know. Then Persia and the Medio-Persian Empire. We didn't get to go home and get sovereignty again. Nah, we went because I think Cyrus took it over, or Darius took it over in one night, and he didn't let Jake go. We were still in captivity in the Persian Medio Empire, and this is the Southern Kingdom I'm speaking about, because the Syrian Empire took away the Northern Kingdom, and then they came here to the Americas. All right. And then you got ancient Greece. So from from Persia, in the Medio Persian, some of us went back home. We were allowed to go back home and build. Zerubbabel, I think Joshua's name. Then you got, but we were still in captivity, nonetheless, because ancient Greece came up, and what they do, put us in captivity. Then you had ancient Rome, right? What did they do? Had us in captivity. We weren't sovereign anymore. We were nothing but a vassal state, right? Having to, just like we did underneath for the Grecians, we had to follow their ways, and our people were with it. You know, we had a semi-autonomous uh, um, thing going on in Judea, but not really because the leadership was already sold out to the Roman Empire. And then there was a break, right? There was a 1,000-year break, and then we back here today, right? In the revived Roman Empire, and our people, the Israelites, are in captivity unto these people even to the day, right? So the ultimate thing is that the Lord is going to send the Heavenly Father Yahweh is going to send His Son Yahweh Shai back, who's that rock, to destroy it, right? He's going to destroy it, and then the kingdom is going to be ours again, okay? But I wanted to bring out that these nations, they had us in captivity. They were destroying Jade, just like they're doing today with their wicked system. Okay. So going back to this article right here, it says, honestly, the amazing part about Rome isn't that its republic collapsed, but that it lasted so long. The Romans had a clause that in the time of crisis, they could appoint a dictator. That man would assume absolute control of Rome until the crisis was taken care of, and then step down. And it worked every single time. The dictator would step down and reinstate the republic. That the fact that a man could be given absolute power and step down is mind blowing when you consider the rest of it of history. The fact that this happened repeatedly is truly a testament to Rome's commitment to state over self. So why did it eventually fall apart? Like I said, ultimately they're gonna get their reasons, but ultimately it was Yahweh Bashir and Yahweh Shai's will. Those kingdoms are wicked, right? One was wickeder than the other, but they all was wicked. So they fell. It says lots of reasons. The crisis of the republic was a long ordeal. Corruption and complicated bureaucracies are two huge reasons. And it's the same thing you have today. You go down South America and they have a so-called democratic system, but it's full of bureaucracies and corruptions. And where did they learn that from? America. America instituted that shit down there. You come to America, it's full of what? Corruption and bureaucracies, right? Though, if you ask the Romans at the time, many would blame it on moral degradation. And well, that's happening too today and Rome all over again. This place is morally destroyed. You know, degradation is degrading over time, right? So let me see, degradation. So definition for that, right? I hope brothers are being edified. Degradation is the condition or process of degrading or being degraded. And America has been extremely degraded over time. It's gotten worse and worse, right? So it says the republic ultimately died at the hands of Julius Caesar, a man who got to his position through corruption, bribery, political alliances, intimidation, and personal rivalries. And it's the same thing you have today. Slack here, bro. Hate on it. And it's fucking- You can't even have peace living amongst these fucking heathens, bro. I hate living amongst these people, bro. I hate it, man. Anyway, it says the Republic ultimately died at the hands of Julius Caesar, a man who had got his position through corruption, bribery, political alliances, intimidation, and personal rivalries. Had the Republic been less corrupt when he came along, he probably wouldn't have been able to pull any of that off. Had he not had Pompey as a political rival threatening his power, he may have pushed things so far. He may not have pushed things so far. Do you want to know the greatest irony of the fall of the Republic? As a teenager, Julius Caesar was appointed as a high priest of Jupiter. So this dude was a warlock, right? Before he became a soldier, before he became an emperor, this nigga was a warlock. And it's the same thing now today. From Trump to Clinton to Obama, all of these people, including their vice presidents, man. They're nothing but warlocks, witches and warlocks, man. So it says Caesar was appointed as a high priest of Jupiter, a position that, among other things, prevented him from leaving Rome for a single night, touching a horse or touching iron. Obviously, the high priest of Jupiter could not have political or military career, but due to political infighting, Caesar was stripped of his office and instead ended up in both the military and government, leading to the Republic's end. If not for the previous generations of infighting, Caesar would never have been in this position to cause a civil war. In the end, the Republic was a long the in the end, I'm sorry, the end of the Republic was a long time coming. But all of this being said, with historical insight at the time of Caesar's seizure of power, did not seem to an ultimate end. In fact, he didn't rule Rome very long before his infamous assassination. Then Rome was plunged back into civil war, along with the Romans assumed the republic would be restored like it had always been. When Octavius Caesar Augustus won the civil war, he didn't declare himself emperor. He was temporary dictator, restoring order to the war-torn republic. He reinstated the republic later when things were stable again. After all, there was still a senate and many of the other trappings of the Roman Republic. But as much as Augustus promised to restore the republic later never came. He lived a long life. By the time he died, it had been over 2 generations since Rome was ruled by a republic. Trajan took over as the first Roman emperor to call himself emperor, and thus the Roman Republic was totally dead. And honesty, the impressive how it's impressive how it's honestly impressive how long the Republic lasted. It died for the exact same reasons most governments fell. Bureaucracy, corruption equal disaster. And that's what's coming to America, right? It's coming to America because ultimately these kingdoms were wicked and they were evil, right? They weren't upright. This is the book of Daniel 7 and 19. Then I would the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet, right? And the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows, man. And this is where we're at today. We're in a revitalization of this fourth beast. This fourth beast was the ancient Roman Empire. You see it on the list right here. 1, 2, 3, 4 was the legs, and it was different than all these other ones. It had a senate, right? It was a so-called established a so-called republic, all right. And then it had dictators and emperors. What's modern day today? We have presidents, we have the legislator, right? Um, this is the book. This is I had typed this up. Similarities between America and Rome and government. It says the United States government has many similarities to the Roman Republic, including separation of powers, term limits, and the role of the Senate. Separation of powers. Both the Roman Republic, and the United States have a separation of power, with the Romans having magistrates, a Senate, and assemblies and tribunes, and the United States having a president, Congress, and federal court system. Both term limits. Both the Romans and the United States have term limits on high-ranking officials, with the Romans restricting the magistrate and tribunes, and the United States restricting their presidents. Senate. Both of the Rome, both the Roman Senate and the U.S. Senate are made up of influential people from public life, including political, financial, military, and diplomatic areas. However, the U.S. Senate is more democratic than the Roman Senate, where life appointments were more common. Well, you got people that's been serving damn near for life in the Senate forever, right? And they enrich themselves from this, right? It says, including uh, bicameral legislative branches, life terms for senators, systems for appointing dictators, and 2 chief executives who can check each other's power. Both had separation of powers. We just read this, right? And then I also typed this in. Why was democracy? Well, I don't know, because I can't do, but I wanted to bring this one out. Similarity between ancient Egypt and America, right? Because like the scripture says this in the book of Revelation, right? 11:8. Because it's America is not just similar to Rome, it's similar to many kingdoms. And they amalgamated these different wicked kingdoms within this country. That's why you can go to Washington, D.C., and you can look at something called the Washington Monument, right? And it's a big obelisk. That's all it is. And there are many obelisks across this country. And where does this come from? Ancient. This the inspiration for this came from ancient Egypt, right? Just like the rest of the layouts of this country, and particularly Washington D.C. is this is emblematic of ancient Rome and Greece. This is emblematic of ancient Egypt, right? So this is the book of Revelation 11:8. Right. I'm sorry. Revelation 11:8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified, right? And the Lord's image was X'd out here. Okay. The Lord's image was X'd out here. And this place is also called spiritually Sodom and Egypt. So when you look up that term for spiritually, right? Let me see something. It says, I don't know why they ain't playing. It's all right. It says, Hayo Netikos, right? Spiritually, i.e., by the aid of the Holy Spirit, or figuratively. This is what I wanted, figuratively. So this place is figuratively called what? Sodom and Egypt, right? Why is it called spiritually called Sodom and Egypt? So similarities of ancient Egypt and America. Ancient Egypt and America have some similarities, including religion. Ancient Egyptians were polytheistic, believing in many gods and goddesses that had influenced their lives, work, and beliefs. The United States has many religions, including Protestantism, Catholicism, Judaism, and Mormonism, and many, many others. Culture. American literature, art, and architecture have incorporated knowledge about ancient Egyptian culture, which has been used in debates about race, national identity, and slavery. For example, mummies have become symbolic of America's fascination with the living dead and reanimation. Symbols. Ancient Egyptian symbols have been found in America, such as the ancient bull carvings in Arkansas River and Anubis caves. And why is that? Because the Israelites, the Northern Kingdom, were in Egypt, right? And they held fast to a lot of those practices. So when they came here to the Americas, they were doing that shit over here, building pyramids. You go to Mesoamerica, they do the same. They were doing the same thing, right? It says Anubis is the Egyptian god of the dead, with the head of a jackal. The Great Seal of the United States has also features an unfinished pyramid, which may have been influenced by the Exodus story from ancient Egypt, right? So again, these are similarities. Now I found some similarities between Salaki. Oh, I found some similarities between America and the ancient city of Sodom. This is from solitaryroad.com, and it says there are many similarities and parallels between America and the ancient city of Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord, exceeding themselves. Genesis 13:13. What was the sin of Sodom that was so great and outrageous in the eyes of the Heavenly Father? The sin that so angered him, so outraged him, that he annihilated the cities with fire and brimstone. And it was five of them. It was Sodom, Gomorrah, Zeboim, Sodom, Gomorrah, Zeboim, Sodom, Gomorrah, Zeboim, Zoar, and I forget the last one, but it was 5 cities that the Lord destroyed. But anyway, it says that He annihilated the city with fire and brimstone, homosexuality. See the account of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 18 and 20, 19 and 27. Sodom is mentioned many times in both the Old and New Testament. Its name is synonymous with great and outrageous wickedness, the very height of wickedness. And that's what America is. How is America like the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah? What are the similarities and parallels? The homosexuals are everywhere in American society. They permeate the society. The list of well-known people who have finally become revealed to be homosexual is just as endless. And learn about more, and you learn more and more. You learn about more every day. The higher the echelons of society is, the higher echelons of our society is just loaded with them. And most likely the lower echelons. And it is. Because as the scripture says in the book of Sirach, chapter 10, verse 1, actually I'll just go with verse 2. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Right? So they practice these things at a high level because all this shit goes back to witchcraft anyway. Right? They practice homosexuality on a high level. Right? Not just for physical sake. They do this shit on a high level because it's a part of that wickedness. And then they also do it for recreation. Right? That's what they do. It says, unlikely the lower echelons too. And not only is the society permeated with them, but they stand out boldly and high profile. They declare they sin in Sodom and hide it not. And you see Jake is all into that shit. All the time, one is hearing about the gay movement, the gay rights, the gay political movement, etc. They are out in the open, shamelessly, aggressively asserting their rights. More than that, homosexuality seems to be becoming acceptable and respectable in society. It is referred to as just another lifestyle. It even seems to be condoned and accepted in many churches. One often hears the controversies and splits in churches over the issue, with many religious people, including ministers, advocating that homosexuals should be accepted and should even be allowed to preach. Outrageous sexual immorality everywhere. Our society prides itself on its broad-mindedness and tolerance. We are so broad-minded and tolerant that we condone and accept everything from adultery and promiscuity to Moism and pornography. Sodom and Gomorrah were wealthy cities. They lay in an abundant and wealthy plain. America is a wealthy country. Wealthy and luxury corrupts. Right? And then, I ain't gotta go too more into detail with that, but it shows you the different similarities that we're living in. Right? Again, Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, the thing that have been, it is, and that which shall be, and that which is, let me read that again, the thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. So just like people are reincarnated, kingdoms are reincarnated, right? But guess what else is reincarnated? That judgment. The Lord's going to hit this place with a sword judgment, because America today, that whore that sits on that beast, she's everything that these ancient kingdoms were rolled into one, right? It has great influence upon the earth, right? So I just wanted to bring this out. I hope you were edified with that. I would say shalom on to the next.